This looks friggin' amazing. I can tell you, it has never been this easy for me to create something. This is incredible how I have been able to do all of this. I know I'm working at Memberstack, but thank you to the team at Memberstack who's smarter than I am, who managed to actually make all of this stuff work, because of the amount of things I'm going to be able to build starting now is just insane. In this video, I'm going to use Memberstack data tables to create a to-do list app, which I just think is the perfect way to get started using any stack. The reason is because a to-do list app covers all of the CRUD functions. You're creating tasks, you are reading tasks, obviously getting them, you're updating them when someone changes the name, changes the status, and you're deleting them when they are done. Feel free to follow along. All of the links are in the description, and if you get stuck, don't worry, we have a link in the description which will tell you how I debug while I'm vibe coding. So, first things first, I'm starting with the Next.js boilerplate. Link is in the description. So, I'm going to start this, and I'm just going to call it to-do list app, all one word. And I find it's best to keep this name uniform. So I am using this in Vercel, which is going to bring it into GitHub as well. I'm going to need to make a folder on my computer, and I'm just going to keep it as to-do list app, because in the past I've not done that, and then I get confused with like my folder name, and it's just a mess. Just keep it the same. All right, so it is done. Let's go ahead and pop open the GitHub repository. Let's copy the URL. And then I'm going to make a new folder on my computer, find my projects folder, and I'm going to make to-do list app. All right, just like that. Let's go ahead and open it in a terminal. I'm using Ghosty. Honestly, better vibe coders than me have told me it's good, so I use it. Just use the default terminal if you have it. There's something else. If you're not very good at using the terminal and you want something to help you with AI, there's something called Warp. The link will be in the description for that. Duncan on the Memberstack team loves it, and it looks great. All right, so anyways, the first thing I'm going to want to do is just copy stuff from this GitHub repo in here. So I'm going to pop open Claude Code by typing Claude in there. And if you don't have Claude Code and you want to know how to install Claude Code, we have a video going from 0 to 100 where I started on a fresh computer installing all of this stuff. So link is in the description, 0 to 100 vibe coding from scratch. Anyways. All right, so I just said, can you clone the contents of this GitHub repo into here and set the remote origin? I always use some form of that prompt, basically to just bring over all of this code and make it so I can develop locally. Okay, so it says it was done. Sometimes I'm a little bit skeptical, to be honest with you. I just like to go ahead and check. Okay, everything looks good there. Now I'm going to go ahead and start a new tab. And I'm going to just do npm install to install all of those dependencies. And I'm going to do npm run dev to get the dev server running and make sure that we can see everything. There we are. Everything is working. The next thing that I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to install the Memberstack context for AI, and I'm going to want to install the Shad CN MCP. If you don't know what Shad CN is, it's like the greatest component library ever. That's how I'm going to describe it. And the MCP just makes it so that AI can figure that stuff out really, really easily. So look at that. Shad CN MCP is like probably my most searched thing. I use it for everything. Okay, so another tab. I'm going to run that. I'm going to get the Memberstack AI docs. Again, links to all of this is in the description. Just like that. Okay. Yes, please proceed. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're here, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and close off Claude Code. That's a tongue twister. And start it up again. Because I added an MCP, it has to like restart. As you can see here, new MCP server found. Yes, please. Okay, so we don't need either of these things anymore. Let's leave this here. And I'm going to go ahead and start a new Memberstack app. To-do list app, one word. App created successfully. We're in test mode. Everything is good. I'm just going to stay over here for now in developer tools. And we're just going to leave this for now. We're going to get back to it in a second. The way that I like to start these projects, first of all, I like to chunk all of my prompts. I'm not going to say make me a to-do list app, use Memberstack, and make no mistakes. No. I am going to go piece by piece by piece. The first thing I like to do is get my front end going and my auth pages. So what I'm going to say is I'm making a to-do list app for now. All I want to do is create some nice login and sign up UI using Shad CN blocks. Use the MCP and keep default Shad CN styling for now. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna put it on plan mode, and the reason why I do this, so Shad CN has components and Shad CN has blocks. Blocks are like pre-built collections of components. And when you start with that, I find it makes the rest of the AI's design decisions much, much better because it has a standard to work from. And along with that, I say use the standard styling because it's just going to be black and white. It's going to make it a lot easier to tell how everything looks. And we can change that after using tweak CN, which we're going to do. But I just think this is the best way to get started when you are vibe coding your front end. So let's let this do its thing, and we're going to come back to it in a sec. All right, so we have our homepage created here. No, not much of a homepage, but looks pretty good. Let's go to sign up. This looks amazing. And this right here is why I do what I do, which is Shad CN blocks, Shad CN MCP, default styling. This is like the perfect starting point. And this is how I want to build my app. I want it to look like this. I want to see it clearly, simply. That way, I can simply change the visuals after. But I mean, hey, it looks great. So we have this now, and the next thing I want to do is I want to install Memberstack so that it works, because right now these are just simply forms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and we have my test mode app ID and test mode API keys. Make sure it's in test mode to begin. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, now I want to make them work with Memberstack. Can you install it? And then use these credentials, app ID and public key. It should be able to figure out which one's which. Don't think I'll need to explain that. All right, so it says it implemented Memberstack. Let's go ahead and try to create an account and see what happens. Okay, so account created successfully, just like that, and we have your to-do list right here. Everything is looking pretty great right now. Let's go to Memberstack and just make sure that it created a member. Okay, so just like that, we have this member that was created. Very exciting. So we've got auth working. The next thing I want to do is I want to make this a paid to-do list app. I don't know why anyone would pay for this. That being said, assume we would be implementing some features that people would want to pay for. So let's go to plans over here. Let's add a paid plan just like that. Let's call it premium. And, you know, we'll create a price. Be realistic. We're not going to make it like too expensive. First things first, I just need to connect a Stripe account. So that takes like 3 seconds with Memberstack. Takes you over here. It asks me which account I want to connect. So just like that, connect, and then it's going to take me back to Memberstack, and I can create my price. It's that easy, and then I can get payments via Stripe. Okay, we don't need that anymore. There we go. Create a price, call it premium monthly, and let's make it like $4 every month, just like that. Create new price. Okay, wonderful. So now we have this, and what I'm going to say is, can we make it so that when people sign up, it takes them to checkout to add this plan? If they are logged in but don't have the plan, we should take them to an upgrade page. They shouldn't be able to use it without this plan. And I'm just going to paste in that ID. And again, it should understand that we're using Memberstack and know what to do. I'm just going to set it to plan mode to make things a little bit easier. And in the meantime, I'm just going to go back here and log out. That way we can test this again. Alrighty, so it says it's working. Let's go ahead and refresh and see if that's true. All right, so it is redirecting us to checkout. As we can see, $4 a month. Look at that. Okay, so it worked. We can see it says premium up here. If I go back to my members, as we can see, we got juju@me.com on the premium plan. So we just one-shotted our auth. We just one-shotted our payments. Those are like 2 very difficult things to do while vibe coding. Thank you, Memberstack. Okay, the next thing we're going to want to one-shot is our to-do list here. So the meat and potatoes of the application. We got all of the stuff, let's say the wrapper completed. Now we have to use data tables in order to make this work. So I'm going to keep things simple with the data tables. I'm just going to go right now over to here, beta-data-tables. So by the time you're watching this, it may be in the sidebar. If it's not, just after your app ID up here, write beta-data-tables. And then you will be taken right here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new table, and I'm just going to call this tasks. I want any member to be able to create one. I want members to only be able to read their own records, their own tasks. I want them to only be able to update their own tasks, and I want them to only be able to delete their own tasks. So I'm going to create that table. We're going to enter the table, and I'm going to create fields here. We're going to have name, which is a text field, and we are going to have status. I'm going to make this text as well, and I'm going to make the default value backlog. So we want to have it so when you create a task, it's in backlog, and then you can set it to in progress, and then you can set it to complete. That's it. That's all we're going to do here. Obviously, we could get way fancier with this. No one's paying $4 a month to use this, but for demo purposes, let's go ahead and leave it just like that. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to exit because we've been talking to Claude for a little while, and I just want to start. Oh, spelled Claude wrong. Just want to start a new conversation so that it doesn't auto-compact the conversation. I am going to now give it the prompt. I'm going to explain to it what I set up. I'm going to clarify again, use Shad CN with default styling. All right, let me write my prompt. All right, so we're going to set it in plan mode. I said everything is now working, and we want to make the to-do list part of our app work. Using Memberstack data tables, I just created the table tasks, which has two text fields, name and status. When one is created, the status should be backlog. Then people should be able to update them to in progress and finally complete. And then they should be able to delete them too. For all UI you create, use Shad CN blocks with the default styling. So we're going to let this run in plan mode first. It's going to make a plan. I'm going to read through that plan. And if the plan looks good to me, I am going to let it rip. And hopefully we can one-shot that too. All right, so it said it did it. This is creating the entire functionality for my app, so that would be really cool if it one-shotted it. We may run into some errors, fair warning. Let's go ahead and test it out right now. So I'm going to click add task, and I just want to say, I mean, again, this UI looks phenomenal. We're going to make it a little bit more unique after we get the functionality working, but let's just say walk dog and create task and see if that works. Okay, so it said task created successfully. I'm going to go into Memberstack data tables over here, make sure we're in test mode, and I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to see if it did create it. Okay, so walk dog here is in backlog. Now let's go ahead and change the status of it to in progress. Okay, this looks weird. I'm going to go ahead and fix that right now. But the actual functionality of it seems to be working beautifully. Yep, in progress is now updated there. I'm just going to say this in progress tag looks super funky, so could you please fix that? All right, so now it looks better. Let's go ahead and set it to complete. There we go. Let's now see if that was updated in Memberstack. Yep, it's now set to complete. And now let's go ahead and delete it and see if that's working too. Task deleted successfully. Refresh. And there's nothing in there. So let's go ahead and stress test this. Let's just go log out, create an account, go through the checkout, and create a task and move it through. If all of that works, then that means our app functionality is done, and we're just going to make it look a little bit extra cool. So let's go ahead and just log out here, sign up, say some nonsense again, and create account. Okay, taking us to checkout. By the way, you can feel free to steal my card information here. This is just Stripe test card, so you're not really going to be able to do all that much with it. All right, so here we are, new member. Let's go ahead and create our first task and just call it eat beans. You know, always got to remind yourself to eat some beans. Created. Let's go make another task here and just call it make app. There we go, that's a good one. And let's create another one and call it buy 98 chickens at the local market. There we go, this one's a bit of a longer title. Pretty serious task we got there. Okay, so I'm currently making an app, so that is in progress. Let's put that there. And yeah, you know what? If you ask me, this is looking really good. It's working really good. It's fast. Everything is great. The next thing I want to do is, this is just black and white right now. I want it to look a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tweak CN, link is in the description. And Tweak CN is just like themes for Shad CN. There are a whole bunch right out of the box, and I'm going to use one of these. That being said, you can create your own. You can change any of this stuff. Let's go ahead and find one that looks good. All right, I think Ocean Breeze is pretty nice. So the way that I do this, and there might be a better way to do this, like I know you can install the theme just like that. What I have found works the best is I just go ahead and copy this right here, and I send it to Claude Code, and I say, can we update the app to use this Tweak CN theme instead of default styling? And yeah, let's paste that in. Let's go over here and let's wait for our app to look better. This looks friggin' amazing. Everything here we managed to one-shot. Like, we one-shotted our initial UI, we one-shotted auth, we one-shotted payments, we one-shotted our database, and here we just managed to make it look even better with this custom theme that doesn't just make it look like a black and white wireframe. This is amazing. I have been vibe coding for like 2 years now, and I can tell you it has never been this easy for me to create something. Every single time I'm wrestling with whatever I use for auth, whatever I use for payments, whatever I use for my database, and it's just a pain. This is incredible how I have been able to do all of this. I know I'm working at Memberstack, but thank you to the team at Memberstack who's smarter than I am, who managed to actually make all of this stuff work, because of the amount of things I'm going to be able to build starting now is just insane. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. If you have any requests for features or videos, let us know in the comments, and have a great day.